Hello, bookish beauties, it's Wednesday! This week is top 5 worst series enders. Hello, kitty cat. A funny thing happened when I was looking at my books for this tag. I realized that I actually haven't completed that many series. Either the first book wasn't good enough that I wanted to continue, or the rest of the books aren't out yet, or I just haven't gotten around to finishing it all yet. I actually didn't have a whole lot of series to choose from on this one, but I did find 5. In the number 5 position, Hunger Games. Now let me just say, I absolutely love the Hunger Games. I love all of the books in the Hunger Games. But this one is in the 5 position because the third book, which was Mockingjay, was my least favorite book of the series. Even though I loved it, I loved Catching Fire the most, I loved the first Hunger Games second, Mockingjay was just, it was a lot different than the first 2 books. It had a very different tone. So even though I loved it, it did end the series on a slightly down note for me. Number 4, Beautiful Creatures. This series, I'll be honest, I did not finish it. I read the first book, and I think I did end up giving it a 4 because I did enjoy it, but the issues that I had with the book, mainly that the key plot point not that it didn't get resolved, but the way in which it was resolved, it just sort of was like, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? Oh, nothing. I really thought things were going to pick up and resolve in the second book. Just as I was starting to read the second book, I had a friend who read it, and then I think she read like maybe the third book and said that really the initial plot point never even really got resolved. I think I only got maybe like 15-20 pages into the second book and I put it down. I really lost any desire to continue with it. Since then, I have heard what happened in the last books because I decided that I wasn't going to finish it, so I just went ahead and spoiled myself, and when I found out how the series ended, I was really glad that I did not continue on with that series. I think I would have been incredibly disappointed and frustrated that I had spent all that time reading those 4 books, and it ended like that. So even though I technically didn't finish this series, it definitely went downhill for me very quickly to the point where I would not finish this series. 3! The Millennium trilogy. It's like the girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl something about fire. I don't even remember what they're all called, but I read the first one and I really liked the first one, so I went ahead and read the next 2. Well, I sort of felt like the next 2 could have been compressed into 1 book, and it would have been stronger as a duology, I think. There was a lot of things added that didn't need to be added. First book almost could have stood on its own. It had a complete plot arc, but the next 2 books had a plot arc that sort of went across both books. Even though I'm satisfied with the way the series as a whole ended, I was annoyed reading the third book because there was just a lot of extra junk and fluff in that book that I thought didn't need to be included. It really slowed down to the point where I really think if they would have taken out all that extra crap and condensed it down into 2 books, it would have been so much stronger. Number 2! Beautiful Disaster. This one is actually technically a duology, but I'm counting it as a series since there's more than one. I think that still counts as a series, right? I read the first book, Beautiful Disaster. I gave it 2 stars, which means I thought it was okay. There were a lot of things that I didn't like about that book. One was the continual use of the nickname Pigeon. Pigeon. Pidge! Pigeon. Pigeon. It was a stupid nickname. She didn't even bother asking him till almost at the end of the book why he even called her that to begin with, and he comes up with this lame explanation that's supposed to be cute. But anyway, so I already didn't feel that great about the first book, and then I found out that the second book was basically the first book all over again, but this time in a different point of view. Honestly, the first thing I thought when I read that that's what the second book was that, oh, she's trying to copy Stephenie Meyer and she's doing a Midnight Dawn. Except, as you recall, Midnight Dawn never got even finished, let alone published. And I sort of feel that since Edward had the ability to read minds and would know what everybody else was thinking and what was going on around him, it would have been a lot more interesting to read something in his perspective than just any other old character in the book. So you already have a book that's not very good. Then you tell the whole story all over again from the opposite point of view. And I sort of feel like Walking Disaster, which is the second book, is completely and utterly pointless. And to me, that's a really bad ending of any kind of a series. The number 1 book with the worst ending to a series. And I'm guessing that this is going to be on everybody's list today, if not in the number 1 position, somewhere in the top 5. Do you want to guess? Go ahead! What do you think it is? Divergent! Yes! The famous awful ending of the Divergent trilogy. I recently had a very interesting conversation with Sarah Ella about this book. And I will just say, first of all, and I'm going to do this without spoilers, so if you know what happened, you can probably figure out what I'm talking about. But it wasn't that I had a problem so much with what happened, but how it happened. I don't feel that it was how the character would have reacted in that situation. I really can't explain in more detail without spoilers, but if you read the book, you know how what happened. And I feel like, no, that is not what would have happened according to that character as we knew him or her throughout the rest of the series. There would have been a different action, which would have caused a different reaction. And even if the outcome would have been the same, I would have been okay with that, but I was not okay with the way that it happened. So that, to me, kind of ruined a lot of it, because I thought, well, I thought I knew who this character was, but this character totally acted out of character, so I don't know. What did we just go through all of that for? Was there even a point? I do still love that trilogy, but I think I will always be hoping that when we get to the movie, they change the way the ending happens at least a little bit. I have my ideal ending in mind. Wouldn't really change the ending too much in certain scenarios, but it would make how it happened different. So we'll see. I'll probably break that into 2 movies anyway, like they tend to do with every other book to movie adaptation. That's a trilogy. Those are my top 5 worst series enders. Apparently, I need to read a lot more series. Even of my top 5, I really only actually read 3 of them. Huh. How am I so behind on series? It's probably because every book these days is part of a series, and when they're not even out yet, and you have to wait a whole year for the next book to come out. It takes a long time to finish a series. End rant. Anyway, thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe!